Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show E-Coffee with Experts. This is Ranmay here, your host for today's episode. And today we have Eric Brown, who is the Chief Sales Officer at Vibe Media with us. Welcome, Eric, to our show.
Hey, thank you for having me here this morning. I appreciate it.
Great. Eric, before we move any forward and pick your brains on how you built your business and other topics around digital marketing, why don't you share your story with us, your journey thus far, and what do you guys do at Vibe Media?
Absolutely. Yeah. We started Vi Media actually in 4 days from now. I forget how many days there are in September. We'll be 7 years in business. So we're excited about that. And what's funny is I say 7 years in business. I think that's a long time. And obviously we run into business owners doing this for 40, 50, 60 years, but we're young guys. We're still 30 years old. We started this when we were all like 23 years old. And going back to that age, I graduated college. I didn't know what I was going to do. My business partner, Garrett Atkins, he's the CEO here. He didn't go to college. He's always been in the entrepreneur mindset of going around to different sales positions and trying to grow in companies. And I graduated college with a health science degree because my whole family was like, go do PT. So my whole mom's side all does physical therapy, occupational things like that. And then eventually I wanted a business degree. Mizzou said, hey, you're going to have to stay for another 3 semesters. And I said, not worth it. I'm going to graduate. So I went out, got a sales job for credit repair. And that was lovely dealing with those clients. Obviously, some people had actual issues with their credit, but other people just wanted to get a mortgage and didn't really care at the end of the day. They just needed a quick fix. And at the end of the day, they weren't going to fix their credit. And through that time of in that business, customer service, all running a lot of the relationships, doing the sales, looking at the back end, also finance, getting a good understanding really of how to run a business over about 2.5 years. And my dad also had a business the whole time I was growing up. So really, I've always been in that mindset. And what ended up happening was we were all about 21 years old. I was doing credit repair in a nice office building in Des Peres, and we used to use the conference room. And we'd all get a bunch of young guys together and be like, what are we all trying to do? We were all just doing kind of bullshit jobs, for the lack of a better word. And we all wanted to do more. And so what we decided to do was start a marketing company. And our thought behind that was, if we're going to be able to have a successful company, one of the biggest things is, and Alex Hermosi says this as well, is even if you have a shitty company, if you have good marketing, you can have a successful business. Now, I don't condone that. I'm not saying here I want to have a shitty business, but obviously what that says is marketing and advertising can get you a long way. So we really wanted to learn how to do that. And so we started that business really just through social media. 7 years ago, you could make money by starting a business page and posting on your business page. Amazing. Now, right, no one does that unless you still post to show that you're around, but at the end of the day, you're not getting a ton of engagement. It's all through your personal profile. And really about in business after about a year and a half, we wanted to grow. We really wanted to get past the point of just being those young marketers that really now what a lot of people think as a digital marketing company is just one guy with a laptop making posts, and that's about it. So we wanted to get away from that. We actually wanted to drive bottom line revenue to businesses and help them grow. So we moved into the intent-based marketing space, search engine marketing. So we're like, why go after people on Facebook, try to make a piece of content and hopefully they'll engage? Let's just go after the people that are already searching for something and ensure that our clients are getting in front of those people. So that's when we shifted our whole focus over to search engine marketing, right? Google Ads, SEO, and web design. Web design is, if you talk to probably any marketer, they're like, that's the bane of everyone's existence. You have to do it right at the end of the day to get it done. And it's a fun process. It's really just a pain in the ass a lot of the time. You have to do it to get it done for the client. So really working through that process, ensuring that, like I tell everyone, for the most part, if someone has an issue, let's just say a home service company, which is probably about 75, 80% of our business. If someone has a leaking roof, they have water in their basement, pipe burst, their HVAC unit isn't working, right? They're going to go to Google and figure that issue out immediately. Same with law firms or same with chiropractors, right? If you have a personal injury or you have a DUI, more likely than not, you're going to Google. If you're looking for a chiropractic adjustment, unless you have one, you're going to Google. So we focus a lot on home services, specialty medicine, and law. It's our main core business there. We do some e-commerce, of course, as well, but that's really our business. And a couple of years ago, I know this is long-winded. I'm almost done. We started Mogul Holdings. So it's a holding company. We have a few different home service-based companies that we own there. And really our prized possession is West County Insulation. That's our baby, and that's what we own wholly of. And we started that business strictly because we saw how much money we were making contractors, and we were like, holy shit, we can do this ourselves. So we are like, what kind of industry do we want to get into? We had a couple buddies that we know really well from high school. All they've done is construction, and they've done a lot of insulation. We looked up online the competition there, and we were like, SEO, right? Keyword difficulties. We're talking 2, 3, 4. Oh my God. We're like, this is going to be great. Ads, we can get leads for 40, $50. We're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So we started that business, and now not only really are we a marketing company, but we're well aware of kind of what goes on the back end of home service based companies as well. If it's insurance, if it's just the processes of A to Z, and that's a big thing most companies don't have set up, is just processes. So with that said, that's our business. There's 4 partners here at Vibe Media. I'm one of them. There's 4 partners that own our holding company as well. So it's the same 4 people that own both. And very grateful for the 4 partners we have here, because definitely if one of them left, we'd probably be able to make it, but it wouldn't be the same. So
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. It is always a great team which is behind making that success happen. So lovely story, I must say. Vibe Media is known for its exceptional growth and is also listed as the 22nd fastest growing company in St. Louis. Can you walk us through some pivotal moments or strategies or decisions which you guys would have made as a team that contributed significantly to this remarkable growth?
yeah, absolutely. I would really say a big thing that's contributed to our growth is really just number one, doing a very good job for our clients. Obviously, no
Mhm.
marketing company is going to be able to keep all of their clients on, but we have a very high retention rate. I would say 90% retention rate as far as year over year looking at the clients that drop off versus stay with us, which is very high. And the reason that we're able to keep so many clients, and really we call them our partners, right? They're our partner in success. So we're really caring and looking at the data on a consistent basis, because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, if you're spending money on ads, you're spending money on SEO, the only thing that matters is the data. Going over that data with our client on a monthly basis and ensuring that we're spending money and we're profitable. And not only that we're profitable, but we're continuing to improve those campaigns and where we're at. Number one, so is just ensuring that we're doing the best job for our clients. Number two is the team that we've built. And I've talked about this on other podcasts, and it seems like the consensus is it's almost, I don't know how we've built such a good team. I know that we're very open with our team. I think we run our team maybe a little bit too leniently at time. Excuse me, I can't even get that word out. You know what I mean? But for the lack of a better word, I don't want to say we're a family, but it's that type of atmosphere where we all have each other's backs. It's a small team though. It's easy to have that growth where we have only 12 team members at Vi right now, and we have a couple other team members for a holding company at our office. But we all kind of work together. Even the guys that are at the holding company, they're in with our team at Vi. So definitely team effort, right? Everyone wants the success of Vi. And I think that kind of just, I don't know how we instilled it. I'm very grateful for our team. And I think with a good team, we're also able to bring on better team members as well, because they can see
Mhm.
that. They know what's going on. And other than that, our personal brands have really, Garrett and myself, I think, push really hard on social media. We've been posting for a long time. I don't really even post that much about digital marketing, more so just I make fun of stuff sometimes. I try to be a little bit
Mhm.
humorous, but also I just talk about business, mindset, if you will. I'm not a thought leader. I'm not that guy, but I do like to be blunt. Maybe I'm a little bit, I don't know, blunt, I guess is the word for it. But yeah, social media, personal brands. And it's funny because I say we've grown our company through social media and we don't do any sort of social media advertising right now, but it's really all been organic based growth, right? It's just Garrett and I continuously posting. It's not like we're spending money on ads. We made that shift to intent based marketing. I think if we stayed with the social media aspect that we were doing, we would not be around. we also acquired a marketing company about 3 years ago, actually during COVID. And with that acquisition, we got Matt McGrail, one of our newest partner, our fourth partner at the company, but we got him through an acquisition. And he has been pivotal for our Google Ads team. I would say he's 0.01% of a Google Ads in terms of if you were to have him compete against other Google Ads people worldwide, that's where he would rank. And I don't say that lightly. I'm very serious. I think he's
Mhm.
really been a pivotal movement, of course, in our ads team as well. And also, another thing is with our business, we've had people move around, right? Zach Dixon, who leads our SEO team, was hired 5 years ago for sales directly out of college with marketing experience. And he's turned into an absolute badass at SEO. And we do like personality tests and things like that. So I don't know, we're young. We do things a little bit differently, I think. And also I think it comes back to the fact is we don't come from corporate background. None of us has worked in a corporate office for a long time and then come and started a business. We all come from a background of sales, small businesses, food, things like that, right? We're not coming
Uh-huh.
from large businesses. So we don't even have that type of mindset, right? So anyways, that's I would say that's the biggest things that has helped us grow 100%.
Wonderful. Yeah. You're a mixed bag of sales and marketing folks. So no one better than you to answer this. Uh, Sales and marketing alignment is often a challenge for organizations, like we were speaking about before the podcast. So what steps, as per you, can businesses take to bridge the gap between these two functions to ensure that they do not work in silos, they work as a team to ensure that they're working towards the common objective, which is the larger one for the organization?
Yeah, I think one of the big issues I find when working, especially with large companies that have internal marketing teams and sales teams, is they're both listening
Mm-hmm.
to different managers, right? So they don't even have the same strategy. They're not on the same page at all. And a lot of the time, I think it just has to come down with, say, myself, I'm the CSO at our company, right? I'm chief sales officer. So I'm in charge of the sales team at Vive Media, but obviously we're a marketing company. So even I at times get frustrated with our marketing, right? And it just comes
Yeah.
down to the fact of salespeople and they want sales, right? So at the bottom line, and they're like us, return on investment. They're like, I don't care what type of marketing we're doing. I just want to see more appointments. I want to see more website visitors. Where are the leads, right? That's the biggest thing you hear from salespeople. Where are the leads, right? But then you have the
Mm-hmm.
marketing people that are maybe listening to the chief marketing officer, the CEO, and they're just trying to brand the company, right?
Brand the company.
Their goal
Yeah.
isn't leads. So at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, what's the goal of marketing? Obviously, branding,
Mm-hmm.
especially for larger companies, is good, but are you trying to generate leads? I would usually say yes. Obviously, you want leads, right? Any sort of B2B company is going to want leads. So we work with a lot of, or at least I talk to a lot of IT based companies. And I'll sit down and I'll talk with the CMO. And then I'll sit down and talk with the head of business
Mm-hmm.
development. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
they like each other, but they're at each other's throats because they want two completely different things. So I really think the biggest thing that a company can do, number one, is if you have a CMO and a head of business development, make sure they're on the same page. If they're not, have
Mm-hmm.
someone come in and make sure they are on the same page. You could do both branding and lead generation. You just have to have, of course, the money to do, but you can do both, right? Of course, again, branding is great, but bottom line revenue is going to be generated by salespeople. So if you want to grow your company, of course, it's always important to probably look at that aspect as well. So really bringing those kind of two things together is going to be super important. And that's one thing we do for larger companies is if we're going to be working with generating leads and branding, is taking a
Mm-hmm.
look at not only what does the chief marketing officer want, but we can act as like an intermediary, right? So we can come in and be like, hey, you want this? Great. How can we make a marketing plan that actually brings both to fruition? But if you're just a company that doesn't have an outsourced marketing company, that you don't have a consultant or anything like that that can come in, take a look and talk to both your CMO or your business development manager and make sure they're on the same page. That's the biggest thing you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Talking about leads, a lot of these leads which come through to the sales funnel, they are called MQL. I'm sure you must be aware of it. I'm not really sure of the fund of having marketing qualified leads if it has come from the marketing team in the first place. And there's always this a little bit in the marketing and sales team that the lead is not of high quality. It is just another lead. You do not have sufficient amount of meetings in a particular month, quarter, whatever, and which has any meat in those meetings. Yeah, so that tussle is always on. And because these are numbers which the marketing team is always trying to catch up or match up without even thinking on the quality aspect of those leads. So yeah, very well said. Those two people are in sync who are at the decision-making helms of these two functions. Then there would be a line in terms of what exactly are the requirements to meet the targets as well.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of the, something to add on to that real quick is a lot of the time also, I think a big issue is they don't actually have metrics set up. So that's one thing. Of course, obviously, if you know what the hell you're doing in marketing, you're going to have key performance indicators and you're going to have stuff set up like, hey, we need 30 leads this month. Okay, great. With Google Ads and SEO, like going back to, you actually brought up a great point, marketing qualified leads. So what I find is that especially, and that's why we focus on this intent-based marketing, right? Because it's great. You already have someone searching for the product you want. So it's just essentially of course, with ads is just cutting out all of the nonsense of people searching, maybe similar to what a company offers, but not exactly. Yeah. So they're searching do it yourself or some sort of inexpensive or cheap, or they're searching up a competitor name. Anything that's going to not generate a good lead, right? You want to go ahead and cut out. So a lot of those terms, and that's what really goes into the first couple of months of setting up a good Google Ads campaign is cutting out all of that bullshit, right? Because that's where a lot of that spend first goes is just, obviously you can always set up a good campaign, but at the end of the day, you're still going to have stuff filter in that you just can't filter out. You don't know about. It comes through and then you're like, shit, okay, we need to cut this out of the campaign. But marketing qualified leads, right? A lot of these marketing companies and business development people don't actually have any sort of key performance indicators set up. So they don't even, the marketing company doesn't even have any goals, right? They don't even know how many leads does the business, how many leads does the sales team want, right? That's not even something that they talk about, which is insane. It's all just, hey, what I hear so many times is this. I talked to a CMO, they're like, our budget is $250,000 this year. And they spend money. I don't know why chief marketing officers a lot of the time end up spending money, especially for maybe smaller to medium-based businesses on over the wire. I don't necessarily have an issue with it, but it just seems like they go to the easiest way to spend the money, right? They go and get a TV or a radio. They spend money on billboards, and they spend money on these things, which is easy to spend money on. But at the end of the day, is it really generating, is it really growing the business? That's the biggest thing, because of course, marketing, you want to be growing your business. If it's not growing the business, why are you spending money on it? So leads are super important. And going over those leads, right? If you're spending money on marketing, the business development person, say you're just doing this internally, you don't have an outside team, the business development person should have a meeting with the marketing person on at least a monthly basis, going over, hey, these leads came from the website. These leads came from ads. Because of course, if you know what you're doing in marketing, you properly track that stuff. So you should be able to know this came from organic search. This came from a direct search for the business. This came from ads. This came from directly this ad campaign. And we know that we got this amount of leads. So great. Okay. We had a few issues with these leads. Why was that the case? They weren't qualified. They were looking for a service we don't necessarily do. Maybe they're looking for an IT company, going back to IT, but it's just an IT service we don't offer. Maybe that's something we just can't cut out, right? They were searching for IT. We do that, but we just don't do this. Or, hey, we do a subset of this, but we don't do exactly this. Okay, great. We know we need to cut that stuff out. Those discussions are super important. If you're not improving a campaign on a monthly basis, what the hell are you doing? That's what you pay a company for on a monthly basis, is to continue those improvements, not just set it up and let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you also touched upon that driven decision making for marketing strategies. And that is also quite important in order to have your proper KPIs and all those numbers in place. So how do you leverage analytics and insights to continually optimize campaigns for better ROI for, let's say, your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a few different things that we go ahead and set up for all of our clients. And I'll take a step back real quick. And I'll say that To anybody that's in marketing right now, that's listening to this, or any business owner that's spending money on marketing right now, number one, the client should own all of their data. If you are spending money on marketing, if you're spending money on ads on a website, and you
Mhm.
and the marketing company owns that asset, I think that's bad business. And I also think it's bad business where if you're spending money on marketing and the marketing company would say, I own the ad account, you're not getting access to this ad account. But that's bad business as well. I think if you're not lending insight, as much insight as humanly possible, all of the data that we get should be going to our client. Even if they don't understand it, at least we give them the opportunity to see that stuff. So we set up, of
Mhm.
course, Google Analytics, right? And Google Search Console, of course, to measure all of our results. And what we do is we funnel all of that data into essentially a sheet that we have built out. We build that out. I forget what software it is. Google has a cloud software where you can essentially move all of the data over from those fields into a data set. And on that data set, we have an SEO report and a Google Ads report. You see all the data that's being shown in those different actual Google accounts themselves. And it's just an easier way to view the data for our
Mhm.
clients, but also it's really nice for our salespeople and our account management people as well to be able to just easier to digest it with the clients. But we have that stuff set up, and we also have a CRM set up. What the CRM
Mhm.
does is it tracks absolutely all of the leads. So
Mhm.
it tracks all of the leads from the website and all of the different platforms. We're able to specifically see, like I was saying before, you could go on that CRM. You'll be able to listen to
Mhm.
phone calls. You can see if
Mhm.
it's a form fill, if it's a phone call, if it's a chat on the website. You could see directly where
Right.
they came from. If it was organic based, right? You're a roofing company. Someone just looked up roofing company near me. It was a direct search. Someone just searched up your business name, or it came from ads, right? It came from ads. So you can see the different campaigns and how it's broken out. You can usually actually track the specific keyword that they came from as well. And the reason that we do this, of course, at the end of the month, we go through all of these leads. We can listen to the phone calls ourselves internally and get ahead of a problem and be like, hey, this lead came in, we listened to it. They were out of scope, they were out of range for some reason, X, Y, and Z happened. So we can actually go back in and address that issue before the client even knows about it. But that CRM is able to obviously show us direct data and access. So that way we can always go back to those SEO and ads reports and go, hey,
Mhm.
we generated 35 leads this month. Here's our cost per click. Here's our conversion rate. Here's our cost per lead, right? Obviously, cost per click is great. A client really doesn't need to know that. I don't think it's super necessary, but it's on there for them to know. Really, what I say is the most important things to take a look at is cost per lead, the actual conversion rate on the landing page, and then, of course, really how many leads you got, right? Those are the most important aspects because at the click through rate, moderately important, but as long as you're getting people to click through to the ad and you're not converting, right? That's a big thing either with the landing page, the ad itself, you're putting stuff out in front of people that have no interest in what you're actually doing. So we measure and track
Mhm.
absolutely all of that stuff. And I think a lot of marketing companies don't because they don't know what they're doing. I think that's a big thing in our industry. And I think it's a really big thing in all industries. We hear it day and night in the contractor sphere because, of course, we work with a bunch of them. Fly by night
Yeah.
contractors, they pop up every day. I would say that's the biggest thing with analytics and reporting. And the reason that we do that at the end of the day is accountability and transparency. We don't want to have to hear from our client or someone that talks to our clients that, hey, they were talking bad about you, X, Y, and Z, because they don't have these assets. They don't have access to this stuff. You say you own it and you're not giving access to this. Right now, we're actually going through a massive ordeal. And I would say it's the biggest ordeal we've ever had with working with another company trying to get assets from them. We actually got essentially interrogated a couple weeks ago by the old
Mhm.
marketing company that was working with our now client saying that we're red flags. We don't know what we're doing. He kept bringing up, what was it? Something map, a
Mhm.
content map or something like that. And that's all he kept talking about was content map. Now, keep in mind,
Mhm.
the client that we're now working with has been working with this guy for 2 years. And we were just talking about, hey, the first thing we're going to do, page titles, pages, like what I was telling you, let's just make sure the website is properly set up. That's red flag. Why would you do that first? I'm like, why isn't it even done, man? What are you talking about?
Mhm.
So he keep in mind, he didn't build these sites. He was just doing SEO on them. To this morning, he still has not sent over the website data. So with that said, we might have to get a lawyer involved. I don't know. If, especially when a client multiple times is asking you, hey, I'm done with you. Give this data over to a new company and you don't do. I don't know what you're doing. I don't
Mhm.
understand the thought process behind it, besides the fact of you're going to lose that 1,000 or 1,500 bucks a month. That's not a massive account by any means. I've known the guy
Yeah.
for a long time. He's a good guy. He needs some help. So we're helping him out. And of course, 2 months later, we're still fighting with this past provider to get that stuff. But anyways,
Yeah.
red flag to all of you guys out there.
Right. If you were to hire a lawyer from any of your law marketing clients which you have, count it as a lead for them for that particular month. Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's a free lead too. That
Yeah.
didn't even, yeah, that came from SEO. I typed in personal injury. I
Yeah.
typed in business contract attorney. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah. And that is how I pinged you. Lovely. So yeah, Eric, we cannot let you go without understanding how has been your experience with AI and machine learning. I mean, the storm that we all are in, an exciting times ahead, I'm sure. But what is your take on AI and ChatGPT or any other platform for that matter? And where are we headed as per you?
Oh, it's so funny. You asked that question, and this guy that I was just talking about that's not turning over the
Mhm.
data was all he kept talking about was AI. We do AI. We do AI. AI is important. Okay. It's something that allows your team to be more productive, but it's not end all be all. Chat GPT and things like that are great for idea formulation, for brainstorming. It's even good for SEO to give us good ideas to write about, right? For content. It gives us good
Mhm.
ideas. It could give us a basic structure and things like that. But the main thing with ChatGPT is you have to know how to prompt it, right? You have to know how to talk to it. So ever since ChatGPT first came out, especially our content and our SEO team has been working on building out prompts specifically for all of our clients. And we have well built out prompts and we do use it. But
Mhm.
what we're not doing is just going in there and saying, hey, build me out a page for roof repair in St. Louis, copy and pasting it and putting it on the website, right? That's not at all what we do. It's a small portion of what goes into our strategy as far as content and SEO is concerned. But I do say that ever since we start incorporating ChatGPT, I would say that our team, SEO and content team, and of course, web design as well, right? Got, I would say, probably 25% more efficient. So
Yeah.
25% more work can now be done. Now,
True.
that's great for, of course, profit for us as a company, but also good for our clients, right? Because now that means we can actually do more work. And also, what it means is we can actually pay our employees more as well, which is nice, right? Because now they can do more work. So now their output is more. We can generate more revenue off of that output. In terms, of
You're right.
course, we're going to give that back to our team members that are actually doing it. So yeah, AI is super important. We use a lot of different AI programs. ChatGPT is just one of them. We use a lot even for sales and things like that. For business development, we use an AI tool that allows us to reach out to people on LinkedIn more efficiently.
Mhm.
So sorry if you get spammed by me on LinkedIn. Apologies. I do want to talk to you though.
Yeah.
We use AI there too. We use AI to help us formulate good ad structure and things like that. We do use it for a lot of different things because it does give us a good idea. It's great to feedback back and forth. It's an
Mhm.
awesome tool for that. So yes, we do use AI. We use a lot of different AI tools, but at the end of the day, you're only as smart as the person using that tool. So you can't, it's
Correct.
not like you can just start an SEO company, be like, oh, we're AI based. What does that even mean? You have to have still someone that is very knowledgeable in SEO that knows how to utilize that tool to implement a strategy, right? You can't just go to ChatGPT and ask for an SEO strategy. You probably can, but it's going to be pretty damn basic, and it's going to be maybe a start of one, but it's not going to be
Mm.
all encompassing. It's going to be very generic, right? Things like that. So AI is important. It's an important tool. It's even important for business owners, right? Regardless of marketing, we use tools for Vi. We use tools for West County Insulation to help us with automating quotes and bids and things like that. There's so much AI that's out there for businesses. All I would say is just make sure you're using a program that you're actually going to use, that's actually going to generate, of course, you business and make your life easier. Because there's so many softwares that you can buy that's a waste of money you're never going to use. So that's my biggest thing there with
Mhm.
AI.
Lovely, lovely. And Eric, on a final note, I would also like to understand from you a piece, or probably if you can share a piece of advice while you're really young, we know, but since you are running an agency, it has been successful. A piece of advice for budding entrepreneurs and digital marketers out there.
Absolutely. So I would say one thing, I wouldn't even say find a mentor, but find someone in the space you're interested in to at least talk to. The reason being is that there are a lot of people there. I talk to people that you want to start marketing companies, and talking to someone that's done it can lend you a lot of insight in what not to do and what to do. And I think that's a
Yeah.
big thing we didn't really do when we were really young. And it's not for the lack of not for being ignorant or not trying. I just think we didn't know, to be completely frank. And one thing that I would say you can do is do stuff cheap or even free, right? Just to
Mhm.
get content out there, just to get your name out there, just for you to be able to generate referrals. That's one thing that we did do a lot at first was
Mhm.
we did a lot of stuff for free. We did a lot of stuff for a lot cheaper that we should have, but at the end of the day, we were brand new. We didn't have I wouldn't even necessarily say that we should have been charging what we charge now. I don't think we should have. And I think that's a big thing that smaller companies, new people get wrong is that they go and they try and charge what someone that's been doing it for a long time does. Even if you have the
Yeah.
same work, say you're a contractor and you do concrete and you've been union and you want to start your own business, great. But at the end of the day, you don't have the name, you don't have the reputation. So you have to build that. The other thing is hit the streets, especially if you focus on local companies and helping local companies and you're selling to even local consumers. The biggest thing is networking. Networking is so
Mhm.
important. I would say it's arguably one of the most important things that's going to generate you your connections. It's going to generate you your referrals. It's going to generate you your business. I see a lot of people that don't network, right? They just try and build a business from their home. They don't get out. They don't talk to people. They don't do a lot of that. And then they wonder why they're not successful, but no one knows about them. We networked essentially from day one. We've been networking for 5 years. You can waste a lot of time networking. That's 100%. You can waste a lot of time networking. So it's like AI. Figure out where that time is going to be well spent. But that's an easy way to network, get your name out there, go to networking groups, and just ask for specific people maybe that you want to try and get connected to. That's another good thing with networking is you can actually go to a networking group and you know
Mhm.
that this person is going to be there and this person can lead you to this next person that you want to talk to. Going to those events and being in
Mhm.
person, super important. Last thing, processes. This is one thing that I think inhibited us at first is like I was saying, we didn't have a lot of processes built out. Garrett and myself, just to be completely frank, we're not Garrett more so is definitely more process based oriented, but I'm terrible at it. So building those processes out wasn't my strong suit, so just never got done. Thank God Alex Dietrich, about a year and a half into the business, 2 years in, he became essentially the
Mhm.
COO, and he is just process based oriented. So building that stuff out. Now, the issue is where you run into a business owner being a visionary and not being an
Mhm.
implementer, right? So that's where you have to hire
Yeah.
or find a business partner that is that implementer that's going to be able to build that stuff out. Because if you don't have processes built out, you're never going to be able to scale. If you wonder why you're
Yeah.
stuck with one employee or just yourself working, processes is always going to be a big thing because you're like, obviously, sales comes first, but eventually you're going to get to the point where you're having sales come in and then you don't have the processes. And then you start botching jobs. You start leave a bad taste in your mouth with the clients. You get bad reviews, and that's where it starts going downhill. So, having those things built out, that way you can hire team members, you can have all of that stuff built out for exactly what they need to do. And for a lot of
Mhm.
these contractors as well, you're a painter, you're a deck builder, right? These things should be laid out for exactly what they need to do going into these jobs. So that way, number one, you can also be more profitable, right? I see all the time. It's
Yeah.
like a lot of these going back to contractors, they're running back and forth to job sites because they don't have all the materials they need. Just that alone, say you're wasting an hour, contractors are charging probably $300+ an hour for, say, a couple people
Mhm.
working on a job site. So that is a massive area just right there that they could be wasting money on. So processes is huge. There are a ton of good books about processes online. I can't think of one off
Mhm.
top, but there are a ton of good books out there to read upon about how to really build that stuff out because it's almost a daunting task. But what I would say is get a big ass whiteboard, write out A to Z
Mhm.
on the different things that you need to have labeled out, and also record yourself doing things. So, say you're hiring and eventually you want to get to the point where you don't have to hire anymore. Record yourself in those interviews. Write down those interview questions, write down the processes, right? If you have stuff you do for payroll or things like that you're trying to get off your chest, literally record that stuff as you're doing it. And that way you can be like, not only is here's how it's done
Mhm.
from a process standpoint, but here's an exact video on how I do it. So that's some few
Right.
things that you can implement.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm sure the budding entrepreneurs who are gonna listen to this podcast are gonna benefit a lot out of this. But yeah, Eric, this has been a fantastic conversation. Yeah. But before we let you go, I would like to play a quick rapid fire with you. I hope you're game for it.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Your last Google search.
Ooh, let's see here.
Don't worry, go ahead. It is an open book, so don't worry.
Toltecs hoodie review Reddit. So we are St. Louis. We actually have a podcast, St. Louis podcast. It's based mainly for St. Louis based businesses. We're ordering some merch. Right before this, I had a discussion with Katie, one of my team members and co-host there, about our apparel. So that was my last one. The one right before that, rent Indiana Jones. I was trying to rent it last night. Apparently you can't rent Indiana Jones. You can only buy it. And I didn't want to buy it for $20. So I didn't end up buying it.
Okay. Okay. Your favorite book.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay. So for business,
Yeah.
favorite is hard. I will say one book that changed my thought process when I was young. And I'm sure a lot of people say this, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Word to the wise. He's actually one of the original fake gurus because apparently a lot of those stories are made up and entirely never happened. Regardless, those stories are amazing. There's a ton to learn in Think and Grow Rich.
Mhm.
It's a great book. I would say outside of that, if I'm just reading for pleasure, I like reading history. I don't really have a favorite history book.
Okay.
I like reading about World War II a lot, though. So history is my other thing I like to learn about. I'm going to Washington, D.C. in a couple weeks. Can't wait. So excited about that.
Lovely. Lovely. And how were you as a kid growing up?
Oh my God, I was a menace. I was on ADHD medicine in first grade. I got in trouble. I calmed down in high school, but I got in trouble elementary through
Mhm.
middle school. Now, what's interesting is that I was always fairly good at school. I'm a very
Mhm.
good test taker, but I don't pay attention. I'm the kind of guy where I'm always thinking about something else. And apparently that's a
Mhm.
bad thing in school. We can go on and on about education. I think
Mhm.
it's a good system. This might sound bad. It's a good system for maybe the majority of the population, right? If you're an
Mhm.
average person, not to say my intellect is super high, but I think I'm smarter than the average person. So I think that kind of runs into problems when schooling. I think
Mhm.
the more intelligent and also the people that are trying to maybe succeed, even entrepreneurs a lot of the time will say, I didn't do good in school, which is always surprising to me because I would always think a business owner would be a good test taker because that's what I am. I'm very good at taking tests. Even in college, I had a decent
Mhm.
GPA, but a lot of the time I didn't go to class. Don't do that to people listening. I did it. I had a good time, I guess you should say. I had a good time through elementary all the way through college. But yeah, that's me as a kid. My mom will tell you I was a menace. So she says, You're lucky you have a younger brother. That's exactly what she says.
And let's say now the next question makes it more interesting then. Let's say if we were to make a movie on you, what genre would it be?
Ooh, genre. It would be a drama for sure.
Okay. All right.
Drama slash comedy.
Okay. Okay. So we'll not grill you any further. The last question. What did you do with your first paycheck?
So my first paycheck I would have gotten would have been I started umpiring when I was 14 years old, I think. About 14 years old. My mom had to drive me to work. So another thing you'll find out, entrepreneurs usually start working really young.
Yeah,
What did I buy
that is
with my
there.
first paycheck? You know what I probably bought when I was 14 years old? The first thing I probably bought was I went up to Jack in the Box because that's where we hung out when I was 14 years old. I probably went to the mobile, rode my bike, and I probably bought a bunch of drinks and food for all my friends. That's literally probably what I bought because that's what I do now. So I probably
Okay.
did it back then as well. Yep.
Lovely. Lovely. Great, Eric. It was fantastic speaking with you. And I'm sure the audiences who are listening to us today would have benefited a lot out of the insights which you shared. I really thank you for taking your time and doing this with us, man.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, man.